is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It means it's me and Raj. It can't be any better than this, except maybe if the 49ers were winning, but we're going to talk about all that stuff. I call this is my therapy week. So this is the third session of therapy this week. Tomorrow with Bash, if he feels better, will be day number 4. That's all it's been for me. I've taken this season pretty hard just because I kind of sensed that it might happen, but at the same time, like even though it is happening, I'm still really upset about it. Like I'm not okay that the fact that I was right, that this felt off from the beginning. So how are you feeling about things? We got some news that we're gonna drop. I'm gonna let you do that. How is Raj feeling on this Wednesday?
Feeling good. I wish the Niners were coming off a dub, but it's okay. The Niners have started slow before, and I've turned it around, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and hope they can turn it around like they've done before. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. Niners, Cowboys, it's a must-win game. You turn the page. You can't dwell on last week's loss. It's time to get it done. Go into the bye at 4-4. That's all we can hope for. But I'm feeling good, my man.
Yeah, it's this feels different for sure because we in these last couple of years, like when we came off the bye or whatever, like, and we haven't hit the bye yet, but I'm saying like the losses definitely felt a lot different last year. They were a lot closer, whereas this year we've looked really bad in some of these losses, especially against Kansas City. I thought we would at least give them a better fight, a better effort, and they did absolutely the opposite. So I'll be honest with you, my feelings going forward from this point are not very positive. But I'm always open to being proven wrong and having my mind changed. So, but if you had to ask me, do I think the Niners are going to have a successful season based on what I've seen through 7 games? I would tell you, I don't think so. But you are the eternal optimist. I am the eternal negative person. We're like the light and dark side of the force. Hence my background dark, yours light.
It's light, yin and yang. It's kind of the
I
balance.
could have put blue behind me, but or red behind me, but go full on Sith. But I'm not that evil. So
not that evil. I got some news for you, and I think Peter Lay in the comments said it too. So Larry Kruger was telling me about this today. So Dr. John York, he did show up to practice today. It's kind of big deal. I mean, does it mean something? Does it mean nothing? I think it's something when Dr. John York shows up to watch practice. I think that's him saying, yo, we're 3-4. We better beat the Cowboys, guys.
Yeah. What am I paying for?
Yeah.
Because he's really the one that cuts the checks. I mean,
pretty much.
Jed is the face. Mm-hmm. Jed is the corporate puppet. He's the you know what I'm talking about. Like there's the person, a liaison, maybe. He's the liaison. But the person who actually has the money is Mr. York himself. Yeah. He's probably walking on the field like Kona Khan, be like, what the f***'s happening, dude?
He probably pulled up and he said, look, motherfuckers, y'all better be making sure you get this dub on Sunday or heads will roll.
Yeah, there's no excuse. No, there's lots of excuses.
There's a lot of excuses, but I'm not going to use any. They should have won some of these games.
Yeah, and watching the game on this past Sunday, the one thing that I have had a problem with this year that I sensed early on is there's a little bit less people seem, at least players, when you listen to them talk, I feel like people are, I don't know if say listless or maybe checked out or defeated. I don't sense the eternal optimism or a feeling of like, we're going to figure this crap out and we're going to get it done. Every press conference after every loss is exactly the same. Bosa says the same stuff. Warner says the same stuff. They say they have all the right answers. They know exactly what the problem is. And then I always tweet, well, then effing fix it. Like, if you know what it is, then do something about it. Don't talk about it anymore. So that's kind of been my biggest gripe is like, I don't want to hear that anymore. Like,
well, the Niners are very PR trained. Yeah, they
super
it's pretty
PR
much like a carbon copy press conference. It's like they have a cookie cutter answer to, not a cookie cutter, but they have like a answer to give to everything. They know the same. They know it's going to be similar questions like, what's wrong? What are we doing? Brock's going to go out there and he's going to be a humble man and he's going to take all the responsibility. I should have done better. The onus is on me. Oh no, it wasn't Ronnie Bell's. It wasn't this guy's fault. It's all on me. He's going to take responsibility. Fred Warner is going to say, man, we got to play better. We know we're better than this. This is not Niner football. It falls on me. I'm the captain of the defense. And then, Bosa is going to say, it's tough. We can't be performing like this. We know ourselves. We know we're better. I have this team at a high. It's the same stuff. And then Kittle's like, we got to wash it off. We didn't play good. What are you going to do? This and that. You can't win with turnover. It's the same copy paste format, and it's getting old. But I think we know that format to a T because the Niners have stumbled out the gates a lot over the years. And then guess what? They go on a run. And then guess what? We get hyped. And then guess what? We're like, oh, the Niners are the best team in the world. And then
they disappoint us at the end.
But at the end of the day, I have a feeling the Niners will get this win against the Cowboys. I mean, I know it's tough, but I mean, they have to. They got to get into the win with into the bye with the win, 4-4 record to keep afloat in the NFC and the NFC West. And then, like I said, Dr. John York being there, I think that's led. I think that's just really them saying, yo, guys, we can't be pussyfooting it. And it's just like, I'm not saying they're pussyfooting. I'm not saying that they're not trying, but Jerry Rice this week on KMBR, on Morning Roast, he came out and said, like, guys, something is up. If this was us back in our team, in our heyday, we'd be fighting. He says, I come out to the, pregame and people are just lollygagging it. You see the Chiefs on the other side. They look like they want to win this game. So when a guy like Jerry Rice says that, you kind of like, okay, maybe Jerry knows what the hell's going on. Maybe the locker room isn't vibing. It's been a weird season. But despite all that, Aaron, they're still favored to win this game. They still got a team that should be able to beat the Dallas Cowboys. This team should still be able to beat anybody on any given Sunday.
They still have enough talent up until I would say the second quarter of the last game.
Okay.
Their receiving core was down pretty heavily. Yeah. It was really bad.
That was bad.
And and John and Brady's like, well, it doesn't matter who's on the field. Rock has to find a way. Blah blah blah.
Well, he's in a way he's right because this man threw the ball to like a bunch of people that nobody really knew. He made them known. Like he made like Deion Branch. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say Deion Branch was a good receiver because he played some amazing times, in the playoffs. But like he had guys that probably wouldn't have been wide receiver one in other teams. He had guys that were like, okay. Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, they're probably going to be Hall of Famers because of Tom Brady and what he helped them do and stuff like that. You put them on other teams, they may not have been that great, But then you had a guy like when he finally got a wide receiver one, when he got a Randy Moss, oh my God, did you see that? See 20 touchdowns? That was crazy. So it's like he knows, like, yeah, okay, you need weapons and you need protection and stuff. But if you're still a great quarterback, you're going to go out there and you're going to figure out a way to win. So there's a lot of Purdy criticism out there. It was a tough game. But my biggest takeaway, and I said this last night with Larry Krueger, is, obviously Purdy played bad. You can't sit there and say you can't say anything otherwise watching this game. But after rewatching this game and then watching the film, Spags, he's just the best DC in the league, and he had Brock Purdy figured out. Like last week when he said that, there's no weaknesses and stuff. That was him just gagging, like baiting him because he knew.
We all knew that though. Like I listened to that and I'm like, he was painting a barn. What do they call painting a barn red or whatever? When I hear stuff like that, when a guy is like giving guy a bunch of credit, it means that he's about to freaking drop him on his head during the game.
Dog walked him. But to Jerry Rice's kind of analysis and stuff, like he's saying there's just not a lot of dogs on this team, and I kind of feel that too. I feel like they're just not like let's barking. Like they're still being too nice. They were so nice to the Cowboy or to the Chiefs. Like I get it. We shouldn't be talking trash. I kind of want to see a little dog in them. Like I know Diamo Lenore, this guy been yapping all year. I like that. I need to see a little bit of fight. Like at the end of the game, you see Brock Purdy. He kind of walked up to Spags after he got owned, and he walked up. Oh, good job, coach. Like, nah, I wouldn't have done that. I would have been like walked off the field. Maybe he shook his hand because you're a good sportsman. Good sportsmanship, but. You don't go, oh, good game, coach. Yeah, you just cooked my ass. Good game, coach. They need to have a little bit more dog in them.
I miss the day, and I know I'm an old head. I'm even older than you. Like, I miss pregame fights. NFC Championship in 93, in 94, both, I think, involved Ricky Waters at some point.
Ricky was that guy.
Because Ricky was a dog. He might not have always played well and, had some key fumbles in the playoffs and stuff, but I hate this kumbaya. Like, oh, you just kicked our ass, but we're cool with you. Like, nah, dude.
Kelsey and Kittle, they're like,
yeah, like they'll see you in February. Yeah, whatever, dude. We can't. Can we win a game first? The famous rant by what's his name, Mora? Playoffs. Like, what are we talking about? How are we talking about playoffs? We're 3-4. We look like crap most of the year. Yeah, everybody's too nice. Like, what's with this campfire vibe where everybody's just kind of rolling together? Like, nah, man, I'm gonna throw hands on you, even if you're my friend. Like, I don't care if you're my teammate. Listen, if I was a defensive player and the offense kept going 3 and out, I would be the type of guy, and that's why I could never play sports, where I would have punched one of my teammates in the head on the sideline just because.
That's what Jerry Rice was saying. That's what he was saying. I think back in the day, they would get yo, we're doing our part, do your part. Like, that's what it was. The defense played. I was there. That defense, first half, like for the first part of that game, the defense really played good. I mean, you got 2 interceptions on Patrick Mahomes. Like, Deommodore Lenoir, bro, this guy's been talking all year, and he's backing it up. He's backing it up. He's getting
what a waste, too. We're wasting this season on
wasting
him.
it. And Nick Bosa, man, I keep telling everybody Nick Bosa's come for blood this season, and people, he's not having a good day. This man wrecked Patrick Mahomes this game, and he was getting held, of course, like he always does, but he was, despite it, wrecking shop. Like, at some point, you get tired, and it just broke when Mahomes hit that sideline run. That broke it all. That broke it all up because that was the big momentum push. The Niners were only down 2 at that point. You missed that tackle, and he baited you, little pump. I couldn't believe they fell for it. I was like, oh, my God, I couldn't believe it, Aaron. And when he ran that, and then he trucked Mustafa, that was the game right there. Because the defense, like someone said in the comments, Spags has Kyle figured out. That was it. That was it.
Certain defensive coordinators that follow kind of the same principles as the Chiefs do have Kyle figured out. A lot of man up, a lot of blitzing, a lot of people at the line of scrimmage. Kyle is very like he beats his head against the goalpost. He runs the same stuff all the time, and there's a lot of people that say like, oh, you should be fired or this or that. And like, I understand the frustration, but like, you have to make sure that if you do bring somebody in that because Kyle Shanahan would be unemployed for probably less than a day.
He'd go this quick in the unemployment line. He'd get a job pretty quick. Kind of like
Robert be like, what?
He'd get hired fast. Like, I know a lot of people don't like Kyle, but there's other issues than Kyle. But real quick, Throwback says we gave up 146 rushing yards, and Patrick Mahomes said being able to run football was absolutely. We all know
they played bad. They played bad on offense. If they wouldn't have been able to run the ball. Go ahead.
But that's the problem. The problem, Aaron, is because they don't have Christian McCaffrey, and the 49ers have not adapted to life without Christian McCaffrey. And I'm not saying Mason's not good. Mason's great. He's been fantastic. But he's no CMC. Like, the amount of, attraction that CMC gets on the line, it opens it up for everybody. We all know that. And then even when they stack the box, he can get open in that line. And he's just so elusive, and he's a snake out there. So Jordan Mason has been getting stuffed. They're putting 8 men in the box and just loading it up on Mason. And it's frustrating for him, I'm sure. And they're not being able to run as much. And then, he's been banged up. This is the first year he's really had to tote the rock a lot in his career. So it's tough, and they don't really have good depth at running back right now because of all the injuries. So absolutely agree that Niners not being able to run the ball is poor. But then on the other side, they're not able to stop the run. Run defense has been poor, right? Bad. We see Devondre Campbell just getting murked every night. So it's an issue on both sides. But again, regardless of all that stuff, there's still hope because they're a point where they could have won some of these games. And it's just, in some of these games, if they make a few adjustments, they could win them, Aaron. But they haven't. And I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of defense, now I know everybody wants to fire Nick Sorensen and hire Robert Salah. Well, guess what?
I don't know about the Salah hiring, but I don't like Sorensen.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people have said, oh, go get Salah, go get Salah. He got fired from the Jets. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen because today the Green Bay Packers hired Robert Salah as an offensive consultant. Yeah, you heard that right. An offensive consultant. He was spotted at the Packers practice today. I posted that video. I was like, oh shit. I was like, what? So he got spotted at practice. And then Mike LaFleur, his bestie, these guys were like college roommates. They were like best. They've been like best man at each other's wedding.
They do everything together.
They do everything together, right? So he basically said we hired him for an offensive consultant position to use the knowledge of his defense and how you can implement that into the offense. It's crazy. So they gave him a little consultant role. This guy was unemployed for like 2 weeks. He had a nice little vacation. He's still getting paid $20K from the Jets a day and whatever they're going to give him from, Green Bay.
20K a day. Wow.
That's crazy. So unfortunately, Robert Salah will not be coming to the Niners this year. Maybe in the future, but it's going to give Salah a good opportunity to kind of reset, and he'll get a coaching job down the line eventually. But it's good for him. But that sucks because the Niners play the Packers soon, and Robert Salah, he knows the Niners. That's going to even be a tougher game. And the Packers defense is freaking good this year. So good. One of the best. So what's your thoughts?
I think the Niners were kind of in a rock and a hard place because they haven't fired their defense. If they were to bring him in with Sorensen and the other nut job they got from the Chargers last year, both on the defensive staff, that would be kind of weird. So I'm not surprised the Niners didn't go after him. Personally, I'm of the mindset that if the Niners are going to do something with their defensive coordinator this offseason, they need to go after like a real defensive coordinator, like someone in the league who has been a head coach. Yeah, Brendan Staley, thank you. Who's been a head coach and is just better at being a schematical defensive coordinator. And a guy who doesn't want to, get a position as a head coach anymore. Like he's okay being a D coordinator. The problem the Niners have is they have all these young up and coming guys who are D coordinators for like a couple of years and then they move on. So they're constantly have this like revolving door. So, and the players on this team are a bunch of whiny crybabies who don't want anybody from outside the organization. And Kyle does what the players want because they're all close and everything, and it's kumbaya. But I would love to see somebody come in here and whip these guys into shape. Maybe they run a different scheme. I don't know. Like what we've been doing ain't been working. We've been close, but we haven't sealed the deal. So why not try something different? I don't understand if this like same thing all the time. Like we got to bring a guy in who runs cover 3. We got to have Chris Kasarik on our staff with the wide 9, which ain't done this year, other than Bosa having some good games here and there. Like, what's the wide 9 do besides get gashed in the running game? Like,
yeah, honestly, they might need to change things up. Like maybe it is time for a change because you're right. They've done all the same stuff, and it's been incredible. They've made some big runs, but it doesn't get it done in the end. And then maybe the wide 9 needs to be changed. And I'm not going to sit here and say Chris Kasarik isn't fantastic because this guy, hands down, the best D-line coach. Like regardless if they have the wide 9 or not, he can make those guys good, like the defensive linemen they bring in. So yeah, maybe you bring in a new coordinator and change it up a little bit because they have the talent. You put this talent with a good defensive coordinator, and I think it'll change. And Throwback has some stats he got from Matt Mayoko. Look at this, man. He says that they're ranked 28th in giving up third downs. They're 20th on red zone defense, 26th in following rushing touchdowns. It's just a lot of poor defense, man. And I will give them a lot of credit because this week they played fantastic for most of that game until, you get to a point, if your offense isn't going to help you and bail you out, it's like, okay, defense is just going to fall apart. But, there are some things that I see that are good. Like there's some Deion Lenore. He looks good. You have Nick Bosa. He's just been fantastic. He has been playing.
Bernardo Green.
What people want to say. Bernardo Green's played really good. Fred Warner, for parts of this season, he's been probably the best defensive player in the league. There's been a few games where he wasn't. But overall, he's been so good. But, he's having to carry the load without, Dre Greenlaw out there. It's catching up to him. And then you have a guy like Malik Mustafa, such a good rookie. I know he had his welcome to the NFL moment, but that game he was hitting harder than anybody. He was playing at another speed than everybody.
His tackling form on these hits is the most it's the stuff you teach.
I love him.
Not even training camp, in mini camp, how you square your body up, how you run through people. Like, bro, can we get 10 more guys like him, please? That actually puts some effort into tackling. Like,
that's exactly what Larry said last night.
He shuts the door when he hits people. It's like, boom, done.
It's like done.
You don't want any more yards. Like,
they won't gain more yards. And then the crazy, because he's Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is when Mustafa hits you, you think twice. Your offense. I don't know if we want to run towards this guy. That hurt me last time.
Same thing with Greenlaw. Those two, man, I miss Greenlaw.
They changed the game because if they're lurking, you try to run the other way, and then boom, everybody's going to be able to adjust to you. So it takes you. So if you can't run to that strong side, you run to the weak side, and then of course the weak side is the weak side. So you get caught up a lot. So that's why you need thumpers like that. He's kind of an old school football player. I love what I've seen out of him. I think he's going to put Hufanga out of a job next year. This guy is real deal. Young player, but he's really working his way up. And you could just tell he plays with a lot of heart, and that's what Greenlaw plays with. We need guys that can play with the heart because you got guys out there slogging it, Last year they had Chase Young, who sometimes takes plays off. This year you got Devondre Campbell. And like I said, it's just one of those things where we have a lot of really good players, but then there are some guys that are just like, man, because of the injuries, though, they're forced to play. Like they had to pick up Campbell this offseason because of the Greenlaw. Like there was no way around it. They could have looked at a different linebacker, but they thought
they did. They had Hendricks in the building. And then he decided to go to the Cowboys, who ain't any better than us this year. So either way, he screwed himself. It's like Devontae Adams. He went from one dumpster fire to another.
That guy lost two times to the Steelers in a week.
Leon Sandcastle. I said this to myself during the game, Leon. He has like a Whitner. What's his name? Who's the other guy?
Dante Whitner, Deshaun Goldson. Yeah, he's got that vibe.
When they hit you, it's like bye. You're over for the night. It's sleepy time. Yeah, Betty Beiser. Mustafa's like Whitner, same height, same weight, plays like for sure, laying the boom. Yeah, we need the only thing that's bad about a guy that plays like that is injuries. Because if you put your body out there like that all the time, eventually you're gonna get hurt. So that's
why guys like on the 49ers offense, they got players that just play so relentless and they get hurt, like Kittle and Debo. As much as I love them, their tough, aggressive style sometimes leads to those injuries because they go all out, man. And let's speak about those guys because today the 49ers returned to practice. Yep. Deebo Samuel, obviously he didn't practice. He was coming off of pneumonia, but he did he did some work on the side field today. He was there doing some conditioning. That's a great sign. Kyle Shanahan says that he's doing a lot better than expected. I mean, this guy had pneumonia on the weekend. It's unfortunate, but looks like he's trying to be there on Sunday. He has a chance to play. Now, I don't know exactly if he's going to play. There is a chance. He didn't practice like in the actual drills, but he did his individual stuff. Niners need Debo. He's a big part of this offense. He's a big, central cog. When they don't have CMC, the offense, it pretty much is revolved around Debo and his ability to be a playmaker. Because before they got CMC, who was the central piece of this offense? It was Deebo Samuel. And now without CMC this year, they've tried to be, centrally around Debo, but then he's been banged up and stuff. So they really need that guy. And then unfortunately, Juwan Jennings didn't practice today. He's got a hip issue. And I don't know if he's going to play. Kyle said on Monday that he doesn't know if he's going to be able to play or not. We need Jennings, man, because we all know Brandon Ayuk tore the ACL and MCL. He's out for the season. So wide receivers got to be out there on Sunday. And then you got George Kittle, who has a foot sprain. He did not practice today, although I think he'll play on Sunday. But you never know. If it's really that bad, you don't want to risk it. So, I mean, imagine if they're out Kittle, Jennings, and Debo on Sunday. You got Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing. They need to grow up real fast.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate business of the NFL. You got to go with the guys you got. Unfortunately, the Niners don't got a lot of guys to go with. It sucks. And Brock's taken a lot of the heat, the hate. If your name is Nick Wright or Colin Coward or Grant Cohn or anybody who likes to make content that gets everybody all up in a tizzy, then Brock's the easy target. There was one guy that kind of gave Brock a little bit of like, hey, listen, it's not all him. The guys don't get open. The offensive line is bad. He's without all these guys. But yeah, this is man, if they could somehow figure out a way to get 4-4 and go into the bye week with some good juju in the building, and then come out and you got Tampa and Tampa and Seattle, or in no particular order coming up.
No, yeah, Tampa then Seattle. So they got
Cowboys, 2 winnable games.
They do, especially for the Bucs.
We say that, and like every game they find a way to screw it up.
Yeah,
but like
we said that against the Cardinals, winnable game. We said that against the Rams. So we can't sit here, but that's the thing. Any given Sunday, you can't guarantee a victory. These teams are tough. My man Leon Sandcastle says Kittle's got to play. It's National Tight End Day this weekend, and I just looked it up. It is National Tight End Day, the 4th Sunday of October. It's National Tight End. Kittle's got to play.
Can we get rid of National Tight End Day? Nobody cares about it.
Kittle does.
It doesn't help anything. Guys are still hurt all the time. What does it do? Who does it help?
It helps George Kittle.
It helps George, Kelsey, and maybe Laporta. And then nobody else,
because it's great content when they're mic'd up, and then we get to post it.
It's just I don't care. I know. So how about National Stay Healthy Day? How about that day? Can we have that day?
That's a good one. We
need to have National Stay Healthy Day, and all your workouts in the off season where you're like running up a mountain with a goat, and you have a bag of rocks on your back, and oh wow, Kittle's going to have a great year this year, and then he's hurt again all the time. Like, what? Can we stop? I'm old, dude. I like all none of that stuff moves me. Like Debo putting in work in the off season.
I love it. I love those posts, man.
And then he's always hurt. It's the same guys putting out the same stuff.
But I mean,
of course you're healthy in the off.
But this is the thing, Aaron, because if they don't post the stuff that they don't work out, Debo's out of shape, Brandon, how you know it? They gotta post it because the social media people rip them people gonna rip them regardless, man. People rip these players regardless, man. Regardless. And you know
what? Actually be at practice day or off the injury report day. That's even better. Can we get that? Can we get that trademarked? Me and Peter Parker will work on getting that.
You guys get that trademark. We'll get I'll get shirts. We'll get some merch. We'll get some merch for you. I got people. I got sponsors.
They also should have one that says National. Put the fries in the bag day. Like go win the Super Bowl.
But Nathan's right. It might help motivate Kittle. Who knows? He could help with the night because it's National Title. You got to show up.
Now he just needs to motivate the rest of his team because it seems like a lot of these guys are walking. I can't say on eggshells because that would mean they actually have fear in them. It's just walking. You're just going through it, the motions.
They're just walking. They're just walking. I don't know. I don't know. I think that it gives them a little motivation, hypes them up. But this is what I wanted to ask you. Throwbacks is, Aaron, I don't see the 49ers trading for a wide receiver. Do you?
I don't either.
You think the Niners are going to make a move, trade deadline?
I mean, they'd have to win the next couple games to make that make sense.
Well, they have this game, and then the bye week, and then the trade deadline is before their next game against the Buccaneers.
Okay, so if they win against Dallas on Sunday night, yes. If you're going to make a move, I'd say, where are the Niners really struggling?
We just talked about a run defense. So you probably need defensive linemen.
Got an interior defensive tackle that can also rush the passer. Can you get two guys? Can you get two mid-level players that'll be good depth that actually can make plays in the NFL? I don't know.
There's going to be a lot of teams fire selling. So yeah,
you're not going to blow your wad on one guy who you're only going to.
Or you can get an edge rusher. Yeah. You can get like a Myles Garrett maybe if they're going to be fire selling him. I don't know.
Only in my dreams would and then of course he'd come here and he'd probably have injury issues. It's like
stop.
Sorry.
Or they might get a wide receiver because there are a lot of issues with wide receivers. They worked out Russell Gage today. I know that move doesn't move the needle, but they did work out Russell Gage today. So
doesn't move my needle.
It doesn't move the needle.
But I heard that there was a rumor that they were looking at freaking the dude from the Jaguars, Christian Kirk, and I'm just like, really?
I heard Christian Kirk. Throwbacks is Arden Key. They could bring him back. He'd be welcome back. I like him. There's plenty of players out there that the Niners could utilize. Christian Kirk. There's Deontay Johnson. There's Garrett Wilson. There's Mike Williams. People like that are out there. They got some guys. But not DeAndre Hopkins. That's who Dante Whitner wanted the Niners.
Dante Whitner was peeing in his pajamas about the Niners signing him, and then he signed with the
and he went with the Chiefs. Right, wake up at 6 a.m. this morning.
Why wouldn't you, bro? They're the best team in the NFL. They haven't lost a game, and their offense has been crap this year. Think about this, or think of this: the Chiefs are unbeaten, and they're not even playing their best offensive ball. Imagine if they actually turn that on.
So I'm saying they got a great defense, yeah. So
they might three-peat this year, unfortunately.
It's crazy, man. They get these washed-up players like Kareem Hunt. Come on, and then you get Juju Smith, and then you will go and get DeAndre Hopkins, and you sit there and you say, "Oh, they're washed," right? You go to the Chiefs, and I don't know, Andy Reid, he put some spell on you, some magic, some like re-wash up, like anti-washed up juice, and they become good again. It's kind of crazy. Because Kareem Hunt, I know he didn't have a lot of average, like a good average against the Niners, but he was getting some nasty runs on us, like just pound in the middle, and then he was able to get some touchdowns, and I couldn't believe it. And Juju, I know he didn't play the last game, but he had a game before that where I was like, the hell? It's Juju Smith doing catching up passes. So I'm sure DeAndre Hopkins will play better than many expect him to play with the Chiefs. And you know what? He's actually never really had a great quarterback throwing the ball to him. So this is the first time in his career. I mean, this guy would put up big-time stats all over the place. I mean, I know Watson was good at the time, when he was with Texans. But, I mean, other than that, he went through some bad quarterbacks.
Any other news that you have on the Niners that's breaking or that came up before the stream? You said you had some stuff.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick at all the updates today. So we talked about So they did sign some players. They signed Malik Turner, former 49er. He's been on the team on and off. They signed him to the practice squad, and then they signed an offensive lineman, Dieter Easelin, to the practice squad. He's an interior lineman. Maybe he could play some center. Don't know too much about him, but they did work out a lot of offensive linemen today, and that was the guy that they ended up signing, Dieter Easelin.
A lot of people are giving Feliciano crap on. They're like, nobody cares about you coming back.
Oh, they do. I saw that post because someone quote tweeted me, and then I was like, actually, people care about that.
Actually, I kind of do, because he would be a better center than Brendel.
I think so.
Dude, Brendel, I was MFing him so hard during that game. I was like, you big red beard fat mother. I was so mad. Like, he's every game, though.
Journeyman, yeah. They need to upgrade that center spot. So maybe Feliciano comes back, because I think he'd be a really good center. He's pretty agile for his size. I think he'd be good there. A couple other news updates. Evan Anderson, the undrafted defensive tackle. We talked about defensive linemen. So the 49ers, they officially put Brandon Ayuk on the injured reserve. And with the corresponding move, they elevated Evan Anderson to the active roster. This guy has been showing some really good skill as a third string, second string defensive lineman. And I like this guy. And, this was his third time being called off the practice squad. So you actually have to elevate him onto the roster. So he's actually now on the official 53-man roster. He was an undrafted free agent, man. This guy's, worked his way up.
He says he wants to watch a game with me, Peter Parker. It's pretty bad, because I'll be quiet for a bit, and then when stuff starts to snowball, it's like a kid who parent told them that they can't, I don't know, whatever. And like, I just pop, like, you can't say any bad words. Okay. You can't say any bad words, or you're not going to have any dessert. And then I'm just like, screw dessert. And then I just let it rip. That's usually how it goes when I'm watching games. Like, I hold it in for a bit.
Do you?
And then I just can't anymore, especially dude, every time with the Chiefs, it's something. I mean, this time we just got our asses totally kicked.
They just punked us. They punked us, dude. They punked us.
One thing that's been going around the National Football League is that there's two things. I played this video the last 2 days. I want to play it with you.
Go for it.
And then we'll talk about these are the two things that people on Twitter right now are saying that the Niners need to do, and this is the problem. And I think a lot of people that talk on Twitter need to get their brains looked at, because laying blame on one or two things when it's a team-wide issue is foolish. So I'm going to play this again. So if you've been in my stream the last 2 days, you know what's coming.
888-957-9570. Let's ride. Burns in Fremont first up. Hi, Burns. Thanks for calling.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh.
I too have been listening from the morning when I got to my office. This morning was listening to the morning show, the middle guys, Steinmetz and all that, and it just started boiling. The blood started boiling, and the boiling is for you spoiled Niner fans. You make me so sick. It's unbelievable. Hey, I'm pretty sure, even though that nutty guy in Dallas is so nuts, he'd still probably give you Trey Lance if you want, in a heartbeat. You want Bryce Young, Niner fans? I'm sure the Panthers will take Brock. Do you think a Spencer Rattler for Brock Purdy? Saints would do that in a second. It makes me sick, Niner fans. And this is what really gets me. This is what gets me. All you dang Niner fans, I don't want to give them 65. 65 million? Who cares? Give them $1 billion. It's not your money. I don't care. Give them as much money as they want. I do not care about the money. But listen, that's only part A. Part B is the coach. Shanahan, great coach. Who do you want, Niner fan? You want old man Bill? You want old man Bill coming in here and calling the shots? Look how that turned out for New England, right? I mean, give me a break. This is it. If you call in and you're done with Brock and you're done with Shanahan, tell me who you want. Because you know what, Niner fan? You're closer to Buffalo than you are to the old Niners. And that's it, man. That is it.
Burns, thank you very much for the
Rack
call.
that Burns.
Wow.
He's right. He's right. This, I just, for the life of me, I cannot believe how Brock has a couple bad games and everybody's like, yeah, we need to blow this whole thing up. Time to reboot the season, get a new coach. What can we get for Brock? Can we move on from him? Yeah, because,
People are doomsday. They want to give up on him. I will say that, I don't want to give up on Brock. I think he's still the franchise quarterback. And you're right, Bryce Young, a couple of these other guys in the league, I would cry if they were my quarterbacks. I think we're so happy to have Brock Purdy. And, people are taking him for granted. Obviously, like I said, the big takeaway is Spags owns not only Brock Purdy, but he owns Kyle Shanahan. He lives rent-free in that mind of his. He probably has nightmares. But the one thing I will say about this guy is $65 million is a lot of money to pay anybody. I don't know about paying anybody $65 million. You do have to worry about that because cap space, if you do pay Brock $60 to $65 million, it's going to be tough to sign a lot of other players. Hopefully he can take a little discount, but I get what he's saying. It's not our money. We shouldn't worry about it. But in a sense,
no, it's the fans that go on social media and start putting out this doomsday scenario. If the Niners all of a sudden sign Brock Purdy, that we won't be able to do this, we won't be able to do that. And then you get people who I personally know that I've had on the show that are actually cap experts who completely undo all that bull crap because they don't actually know what they're talking about when it comes to the cap. And then if you look at our roster right now, like, if Bernardo Green keeps playing well, is it that big of a loss to get rid of Charvarius Ward after this year? You know what I'm saying? Like Greenlaw, he's been hurt. So the Niners might get a discount on that situation and be able to keep him in the building. Aaron Banks, that's one that worries me a little bit because unless that's the thing with some of these people, if you have a problem with something that's going on or you have a problem with the coach or the player, like you said, give me an answer that makes it okay for you to fire them. Like who's coming in that's going to be better than Kyle? Like I understand the frustration with Kyle. But like we said, if Kyle is let go from this organization, he would be unemployed for less than a day. And you know that. I know that.
There's options out there. Like people say Ben Johnson, that's like the big guy. But he's a great coordinator. But could he be a head coach? I don't know. Like last year, the flavor of the month was Ken Dorsey. And then, he wasn't too great after that. But we'll see. There are options. If Kyle does, here's the thing. If they shit the bed the rest of the season and they don't make it to the playoffs,
yeah,
you got to start considering things and say, hey, look, man,
everything's on the table. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I still think if they can make a run, but that's the thing, because it's crazy. And I think this is why Jed gives Kyle the benefit of the doubt. It's so frustrating because, yeah, you're right. We see it as fans. You're like, oh my God, how are we blowing these games? This, that, the other. But the 49ers, every year, they start slow under Kyle. Not every year. There's 2 years where they started off really hot.
They started fast last year, and then they went through a slow period. Yeah.
2 years. There's 2 years in there where they had a hot start. But then last year they had a hot start and then they cooled and then they came back up. But there's periods where we're like, how are they losing to these teams? And then they turn it up. The difference this year, though, I feel like the defense just isn't at the same level it has been in the past. And I also feel like special teams this year is just abysmal, which it usually has been. But this year it's by far the worst. And that special teams,
I have the statistics
costing
here.
them. Yeah, the special teams, that to me is what's really costing them games because it's a couple yards here and there on special teams in terms of, there you go. 18.4 yards per punt return, last in the NFL, 33.2 yards on kickoff, which is 29. So that field position, Aaron, that puts them in bad spots sometimes, like other teams are going to be able to capitalize on that. And just those few yards here and there can make a big difference in the game. And I think that's what's really costing
why Brian Schneider still has a job at this point during the season with the amount of things that have happened. Kyle says it's, schematic. It's, constant players going in and out. If that's the problem, then why don't you just kick it out of the back of the end zone every time? That's the part that I'm not understanding. What's the problem? Direct your kicker, kick it out of the end zone. We suck at covering kicks until we figure it out. Don't give them a chance to run it back. Like I don't get it. I feel like if the Niners season doesn't go great, somebody's gonna pay the price. Someone's falling on the sword, and it's probably gonna be a guy like Schneider, or their defensive coordinator might get rung again, and kicked out of here. It's not going to be Kyle yet. What do you take people who say that the Niners need to reboot this whole thing? Get rid of Kyle, sell off players that are old and start over. What do you think of that kind of nonsense?
I mean, that's crazy. To sit there and reboot the whole season, the whole team would be that'd be wild. That'd be nuts.
One of Grant's cronies said that. One of the morning guys that own YouTube in the morning with stupid takes said something along the lines of the Niners need to start trading off pieces. Like, really? That's what we're doing now? We're done, and we're gonna trade everybody away. You can trade Warner. You can trade Bosa. Is that what we're doing now? Like that's the GM. That's why you're not a GM in the National Football League. It's amazing how quickly people give up on this team and quit on this team after all the success they've had the last couple of years. Yeah, we haven't gotten the job done. And no, I don't like to be second place. And no, I'm not complacent with just getting up there. No. But at the same time, you got to be smart with your brain and think like logically, like, are you serious? You're just going to trade guys off? We've learned the lesson, Raj, about you can't just go replace somebody in the draft. You can't go player for player like, oh, I'm going to get rid of Buckner and then I'm going to go draft Kinlaw. It doesn't work like that. Like, you can't trade off a proven commodity and just say, yeah, I'm going to go into the draft and I'm going to find his replacement. That never happens. Very rarely does that happen unless it's like a top 3 pick and he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And usually those players go to bad teams. Do you want to be that team? Are you going to be? You want to go back to being excited to be in the first half of the draft?
I don't want to worry about the draft
and life anymore.
No. Hate it, dude.
People are ignorant, man. There's a lot of stupid people out there that claim to be Niners fans that are not Niner fans. I just think they're doomsday scenario people. I think they just like that sort of like TMZ clickbaity, like let's get the most outlandish, stupid thing out there to get everybody. And they get me riled up because I think it's dumb. And a lot of them aren't really 49er fans. They're clickbait merchants. They know how to get people to get pissed, and they know that people are going to donate to answer questions. So put the most stupid thing out there to get everybody riled up. There you go. And you make a living off of it. So
yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's how social media works these days.
Yes, it does.
Right. Absolutely right.
I wanted to let's see here. We talked about Pearsall a little bit. His debut was a little bit overshadowed last week, but I don't know about you, but I was pretty excited to see him out there. It sucks that it came in the fashion that it did. I mean, Kansas City's defense really good. They really manned up everybody, but there's part of me that's like, we're in trouble if we have to depend on Pearsall and Cowing. But at the same time, if this season ends up going down the toilet, isn't it great to get reps for these guys, Raj? To get these guys NFL experience so that if we go into next year and we have a better year, now we have, instead of having guys that are a red shirt that still don't know what they're doing, we're that much better because they had the experience of like, they're just going to have to play this year. Like, I'm in a way, and I'm not saying that I'm okay with us sucking and having a bad year, but like, the only way to learn is on the job. You can sit in front of a grease board or film all day, every day. But until you get on the field and you go against NFL defenses and coordinators and great players, I don't think you're ever going to get that experience that, getting played time beats.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest silver lining of the season. Like, I know it's been stressful, but the Niners had a really good draft class last year, I feel like, and we're seeing it. And I get, a good feeling when I see these players. Like,
I do.
Okay,
so do I.
Great. Pearsall, I know it wasn't the best debut, but I mean, he's coming off of a gunshot. So, I mean, I think he'll be okay.
Isn't that crazy, bro? This dude was almost killed.
I know.
And now he's getting massive snaps last week because everybody was off the field. Like, one guy has got ammonia, the other guy got his knee snapped, and the other guy's got a hip issue.
Someone tweeted this week, they said the most healthy wide receiver on the 49ers got shot 2 months ago. Like, it's like, if you really look at this roster this year and you're like, okay, you got a guy that has bilateral Achilles tendonitis. You got a guy that's rehabbing from a torn Achilles in the Super Bowl, Greenlaw, right? You got, this man, Deebo Samuel, has pneumonia. Like, what the hell? And then you got Brandon Ayuk, crazy offseason, signed his money, and then he goes and gets a torn ACL and MCL. And then you got a guy that got shot, like, all in the same freaking season, Aaron. This is wild, man. But because of the fact that the Niners drafted well, it helps them out. The fact that they were able to, get guys like Renardo Green and Mustafa and Pooney, and it's a good sign for them. It's a good sign for them, in the future, because regardless of what happens this year, Aaron, a lot of these guys are going to be your next big part of this team. Like
Yep.
in a few years, you're not going to see some of these jerseys that we see, some of these veterans, and we're going to see these younger guys though being the staples. Like you see, Kittle for all these years. Eventually, you're not going to see Kittle, but you're going to see a lot of Ricky Pearsall over the next years. Cowing hopefully and stuff like that.
I think it's important that they play. I'm okay with them playing.
Yeah,
My whole thing with the guy is I used to be really critical of Kittle, and now I've kind of taken back kind of some of my disdain with him as far as we need to ship him off. Debo, on the other hand, I mean this, I'm not mad that he has ammonia, people, so you can relax. I just think based on his availability every single season, I'm okay if they move on from him after this year. If they just, I don't know what the cap ramifications are. I'm not saying that they got to cut him and eat a bunch of cap space, but we have to start moving on from some of these guys that have been here a long time that no longer can do anything for this team. And Deep kind of hit or miss. He hasn't had that great of a year up unless you look at if you take away the Seattle game, what has Debo really done this year that has you oohing and ahhing and saying, yeah, he has to be back after this year? I mean, Pearsall, a lot of people are saying the way Cowing is that he can run some of the similar things that Debo can. He's a little bit, he's a lot skinnier and a lot smaller. I don't know. I'm okay with some of the young guys. To me, this whole thing that we got to blow everything up and get rid of everyone and start over, that's just asinine.
Yeah, that's a crazy take. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to lose some of these players. I just think they have to continue to draft well. And that's why the 49ers always have these fifth round picks. They get so many, what's the word? They get all those draft picks. They get the compensatory draft. Thank you. They get all these compensatory draft picks. That's what they do, is they're getting all these draft picks and they're loading up because they know you're not going to have Hufanga probably. You're probably not going to have Mooney Ward. You're probably not going to have some of these players. You might try to keep a few of these core guys, but at the end of the day, you're going to lose a lot of these guys. So you better hope and pray these younger guys get up to speed. And again, at a year like this, these younger guys, they're going to go through their growing pains and they're going to become a really good player for you. And I think that's a good thing overall.
Yeah. Debo, I know that they were talking about how Pearsall had some route running issues in the last game and he might have run a route differently and Brock and him had miscommunication. The only way you're going to get communicating with the guy and get on the same page is to play, I think. Practice is one thing, game's another. This whole mindset of we just got to destroy everything and start over. There's no guarantee if you do that this team comes back anyways. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of players on this team that will not stay here for a rebuild. They'll tell you, get me out of here. You know what I mean? Fred Warner ain't going to want to stay here if you start gutting players.
If you start gutting players, yeah, people like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa are going to be like, dude, I'm pissed. They signed to this team because they love the team and the fact that they're Super Bowl contenders and this and that. I mean, I think people got to stop worrying and stop panicking at the moment. I mean, yeah, if they lose to Dallas, they start panicking. But I think right now there's still a glimmer of hope. Niners still, this is the thing. They can go 10-7 and probably win that NFC West. The NFC West just doesn't look strong this year. And I'm looking at let's take a look at the 49ers schedule. I want to go through the schedule with you because let's take a look at it. Okay, Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Niners should be able to beat Dallas. Oh, okay, let's say they beat Dallas. Great. We're 4-4 into the bye. Okay, that's great. They play the Buccaneers after that. You know what? The Buccaneers, I thought this was going to be a very difficult game. Still might be, but now they're going to be out without Mike Evans and they're going to be without Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin went on the IR. That was a horrible injury, man. I hate that. So they're going to be banged up. The Buccaneers went from a first-place team to a team that may not be able to make the playoffs. This is a tough injury for them. So the Niners can win those two, okay? Then you could beat the Seahawks at home. They beat them once. They could probably beat them again. It's not going to say it's going to be easy, but they can beat the Seahawks. That's 3. So what's that? 6 wins. So you're 6-4 at that point. Packers with Robert Salah, that we just talked about. I don't know. You can say the Niners could win that game, but not going to lie to you, that could be a loss. So 6-5, okay? The Bills, I'm not going to say the Niners can lose that game, but they could also win that game. It's a toss-up. That one's going to be a tough game. The Niners are playing the way they are now against these AFC teams. That's a loss. So let's say that's 6-5, okay? You got the Bears at home. I know the Bears are playing good, but Caleb Williams against Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is going to eat that man alive. I think Caleb will make some mistakes here and there. I think the Niners can win that game. Okay, 7-5. You got the Rams at home, and Niners got this one in the bag. The Rams have been banged up more than Niners. 8-5. The Dolphins, they might as well throw the fries in the bag themselves. They're cooked out, unfortunately.
I thought I was the only one that heard that saying, to put the fries in the bag.
That's my favorite saying. So that's 9. That's 9 wins right there. Okay. You got the Lions. This is the tough game. Lions look like the best team in the NFC. Now, who knows what the Niners are going to look at during the end of the season? Maybe see him back. Maybe Greenlaw's back. If they have everything going right for them, they can win this game. But let's say it's a loss, 9-6 there, 9-7. And then the last game of the season, Cardinals, Niners did lose to them once. They could beat them. They can win that 10 games, 10-7. You probably win the NFC West because you beat the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks there twice, or at the end of the season. So if you really think about it, they could be 10-7, win the NFC West, and make it to the playoffs. And I still think that Niners are a dangerous team if they make the playoffs, man. They just need to get into the dance.
I feel like the Niners, that one thing that I'm noticing this year, because you hear players bring up the division. They keep bringing up the division. I feel like that, unfortunately, maybe the panic button hasn't gone up as it should on this team, because they keep these players and probably even the coaches telling them, like, hey, we just gotta win the West. Yeah. Stop trying to worry about having a 12-5 season or whatever. I feel like that's kind of like, I don't know, like I don't like that feeling, like where we're like, whatever. Like I want that. I wish if there was more. I feel like there was more onus on winning games than having to win games. That maybe we'd get better effort. I just, after every game you hear them talk, and it's just like, we just got really worried about our division right now, and that's, I feel like they've already like scrapped everything they thought that might have this happen this year, as far as like the number 1 seed or a home playoff game or whatever, and just focusing strictly on the wild card. And I don't know, maybe I'm just making stuff up in my brain, but I hate hearing about it in week 7. The guys talking about, we just got to do what we have to do in the West, and then everything will take care of itself. It's almost like they've already kind of resigned the fact that they're probably going to be a wild card team, which the way they played last year in the home field and having number 1 seed, they could have lost either game. Maybe it's a blessing. I don't think it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be a tough stretch. The season's not easy. They got all the injuries. They're banged up, but I still got hope. I think, like I said, if they can win the NFC West, this is a team that they actually play better when they're underdogs. And when people doubt them, make it to the playoffs, everybody will doubt them. They could probably do some damage, but don't give up just yet. The Chiefs own the Niners. They're kryptonite. So I can't be too mad about losing that one, because I just kind of had a sinking feeling as I'm watching that game. I'm like, we're letting them hang. We got to score touchdowns. Interception in the red zone, And I'm just like, oh, God. And then
there was a small part of me that thought we could win that game. As soon as the turnovers started, I had no.
The turnovers were. I thought initially we had that game in the bag, and then the turnovers, because it's like they were matching turnovers. So if you get the ball and you turn it over, and then you turn it right back over, it nullifies everything. So it was like washed out. And then again, they gave Patrick too many times, and then the moment Debo left, I was like, oh crap, okay. And then Ayuk, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, that was rough. I feel bad for Ayuk. I know a lot of people probably don't, but I feel bad for the guy.
I will say this, and this isn't me being a jerk. This year he hadn't really kind of put his stamp on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So his production, to be honest with you, here or not here, like we hadn't really felt it up to this point. So like, he's out for the season. I mean, if this was like Jerry Rice in his prime and he goes out for the season, that is a massive drop off.
Oh yeah, in terms of productivity, he wasn't productive, so we're not losing that much productivity.
That's all I'm saying.
But who knows? Maybe he would have turned it. You don't know. I mean, with all these injuries, you never know if he would have turned it around mentally. Who knows where he's been? But yeah, in terms of if he was going to produce like that the rest of the season, then yeah, we're not losing much. But I just see in terms of like the person and the injury, I mean, that to him, that's a really bad injury. ACL and MCL, Aaron. The recovery from that is going to be they
even said there could be more. There could be more.
It could be more. That his career may never be the same, Aaron. It may never be the same.
No.
Yeah.
He was struggling in that last game too.
He got his money. He got a lot of money, but what good is it if you can't? They'll probably restructure his deal down the line. Like it sucks. There's probably like some incentives that he's going to miss, but regardless, I know the whole contract situation was all crazy, and I'm not trying to sit here and say, "Oh, I feel bad." I know he got paid, but I feel bad because the injury was nasty. And this is the one thing I gotta say, because a lot of people all week in the comments were like, "Oh, you should have showed up to training camp. Should have to OTAs." I don't care if you showed up to OTAs or training camp and all that stuff. The way that knee got hit and bent,
It was pretty bad.
regardless if he would have went to practice or not, Aaron, if he takes that hit, he's getting injured 10 times out of 10 times in the season. You could have been going to OTAs. Like, I know people say, oh, maybe his ligaments would have been stronger. I don't give a shit how strong your ligaments. The knee does not bend that way. It was a nasty hit.
That was just a bad hit. If he went to OTAs, his knees would have been strong. Come on, people.
I saw someone say that, dude.
Twitter
I got an
doctors.
argument with someone. I was
Probably
like,
some guy who puts fries in the bag.
probably. I was like, bro, do you want to know what I do for a living? I literally am a physical therapist. Like,
physical therapist.
I was like, stop.
Yo,
it,
if I had money and I lived on the West Coast, Raj would be like, all right, we're getting this knee back to normal.
Yeah, I'd fix you. Otherwise, if I couldn't fix you, I'd have to put the fries in the bag. So
yeah, they'd be like, hey, Raj, I don't think this line of work is working out for you. I mean, we gave you just a simple middle-aged man's knee. You couldn't fix it. Time to put the fries in the bag.
Yeah, you put the fries, Raj. Let's see. I think that's all the news for today, boy.
That's it. Me and you, hopefully next week when we talk, well, that's if we do a show during the bye week, and maybe
we'll
maybe
do a show
not.
during the bye week. We'll talk about the 49ers beating the Cowboys, and we'll get primed for the bye week.
Yeah, and then we come off and we could talk about how we could reel off a couple wins in a row against teams we should. That's the sad thing, though, as we get out of here. We haven't beat anybody worth the crap.
I know.
So as much as it's like, yeah, we can win this game and win this game and win this game, it doesn't really I don't get pacified by it, because it's like, yeah, well, then what happens when we face a team that actually has a good roster?
Well, yeah, you know what, though? You just got to get to the point where you make it to the end, you just get to the dance, and then maybe you pull some upsets. Like,
we could turn into the Giants, who sucked, then got into the playoffs and they beat the Patriots twice.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you just need to get into the dance, because sometimes
Shawn Michaels, just saying.
Well, sometimes teams, they don't peak until the end. Like, honestly, it's crazy. Like, you get into the playoffs and all of a sudden you're a whole different a whole different team. It's just got to get there.
It's a one game thing. You plan for one game. You're right. The playoffs are so weird. Teams who've had really good seasons have had, the 87 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens a couple years ago, they were the number one seed in the AFC, lost the first game in the divisional round. There's a lot of pressure on the team that has the home field advantage.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pressure, and that's why
you coming in as a wild card team, you're expected to lose. So.
Yeah, there's no pressure. It's like when the Niners made that run in 2022. Nobody thought they were going to be okay, they win that first game against Dallas. It was like, oh, wow. I was at that game, and I just remember, holy crap, just how crazy that game was, because it was an intense atmosphere. I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe we won this game. And it was such a vibe. And they used that momentum. They carried it, and the next game was against Green Bay. Nobody gave the Niners a chance to win that game. Green Bay should have creamed the Niners. But guess what? The 49ers defense, that game was insane, and they won. And then, of course, we know they fell apart in the NFC Championship. But I think they used all their energy, and then, Jaquiski Tartt was Jaquiski Tartt and sold the game on us. And then Jimmy, he gave it away too. But, that's what I'm saying is, in the wild card round, if you're a team like that and nobody gives you respect, you play with the chip on your shoulder, and that sometimes is more dangerous.
Maybe that's the key to winning a Super Bowl this year.
2021, sorry. Well, it was 2022 playoffs. That's what I mean.
I got you. All right, everybody, we're gonna get out of here. I got to go make some dinner and ice my knee and stuff. So hopefully, I'll see you guys tomorrow with Bashar at probably the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Talk to you everybody later. See ya.
Peace.